Hi everyone, and welcome back to National Graduate Week 2022. I'm Eloise from Career Map, and it's amazing to see so many of you on the workshop today, where you're going to be learning all about the future of movement through Jaguar Land Rover's graduate programs. And as always, this session will be recorded, so you will be able to come back to it later if you need to take notes, if you want to reflect on things, you will have the recording at the end. The email that goes out after this, if you've registered, will also give you the link to the graduate program so you can apply there, and a little bit more detail about Jaguar Land Rover on National Graduate Week's website. So technical stuff, if you can't hear us, can't see us, type it in the chat. I will keep an eye on that and try and fix it for you. You can see in the chat as well, you have Rob who is on the questions. If you have questions that you would like him to answer as we go along, drop those in. We'll also be doing a Q&A at the end. So if you do have broader questions or questions that you want individual presenters to answer, ask those as well. And yeah, I think that is all from me. It's going to be recorded, ask lots of questions, put those in the chat. That is all from me. So I'm going to hand over to Sam to get started, and yeah, hope you enjoy.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. Now it's quite late on a Friday for a webinar as well, so we definitely appreciate you taking the time out on a Friday evening to join us, and hopefully this can be insightful and worth your while as well. So we're here today to talk about our graduate programs in particular. So hopefully there's a lot of you that are looking towards graduate programs. We do also offer undergraduate programs too, and they're also all open and live right now. So if any of you do fall into that category, there is still something for you, and we'll go through some of that stuff later. So in terms of what we are covering today, let me just put it through to the next slide. So I'll give you a bit of an introduction to Jaguar Land Rover. Before I do that, I will play a short video, and also we'll do a poll just to see where you've come from today in terms of what uni you're at, what year of study you're in, and all of that good stuff. So yeah, I'll give you an introduction to Jaguar Land Rover. I will talk a little bit about our graduate programs in particular in terms of what we offer. I'll give you the chance to hear from some of our current graduates. So I've got 3 graduates joining me today, and they can talk a little bit about their experiences, their journey onto the graduate program, and some tips for you. And it wouldn't be a webinar if we didn't at least give you some insider knowledge and hints and tips. So we'll do that as well. So at the end, we will talk about the application process, and we'll go through some hints and tips to help you make the best applications possible. There'll be plenty of chance for Q&A as well. So stick through to the end. Any questions you've got, you can ask away in the chat right now. One of my colleagues is on hand to answer those questions as well. And if there's anything you want to ask to anyone in particular in the Q&A section, whether that's to me, whether that's to one of the people that speaks today, whether it's a general question, whatever it is, you can ask away. So I will play you our introductory video, and then we will go into the next information.
We are the future of movement.
A future built on modern luxury.
Creating vehicles rich in sustainability,
In emotion and in detail.
We're shaping truly exceptional vehicles.
And we do it with soul.
We are respected.
we work as one.
We act with integrity. We're reimagining the driving of tomorrow.
And redefining what's possible today.
Together,
we are the future of movement.
So I hope you all enjoyed that video. That is the latest video for our 2023 Early Careers campaign, with loads of faces of people that are currently on programme with us. For the eagle-eared viewers as well, maybe you heard my little cameo in there on the audio. So before I go into a bit of information about Jaguar Land Rover, I thought it'd be good to do a poll, or a couple of polls, just to see what audience we've got in here today. So let's start with this one. You should start to see this on your screen in a moment. And this is going to ask you what year of university study that you're currently in. So are you first year, Are you maybe second year looking at placements? Are you third year finishing your bachelor's, maybe looking at graduate schemes? Fourth year, perhaps if you did an integrated master's or something like that, or are you on a postgraduate and master's type of program at the moment, or something else? Okay, so quite a few answers coming through. Looking like 50+% of postgraduate and master's people, so hopefully very much interested in our graduate programs and what they offer. Quite a lot of third years coming through, so clearly the graduate being in the title that has worked for the audience. We'll definitely talk more about our graduate programs. A few first years as well, which is really good, so it's great that you're being proactive. I mean, you know, obviously you're not at the point where you might be applying and looking at roles, but it's really, really good that you're being proactive, just because it's going to help you in the future. There's often, particularly with us, for example, often roles go live at the start of your academic year. So students come back and you're thinking freshers and you're thinking studies and all of the things that you've got to do when you're at uni, and the careers bit sometimes falls down. So the fact that you're thinking about it is really, really useful. So that's brilliant. Now, the next poll is going to be, sorry, just 1 second. It takes a little minute to come back to it on my screen. But the next poll is going to ask you what university you're at the moment. So let me start that poll for you. In fact, you know what? I can't see the poll, so I won't do that one. We'll skip on and we'll do a poll around how much you know around graduate programs already. So are you really familiar with graduate programs, what they offer, what they entail, the types of things that you might do on a grad program? Do you have a bit of knowledge, but maybe you want to know some more? Are you really limited in knowledge and what a grad program might be? Or do you know nothing at all? So we'll see the results of that poll coming through. Very much down the middle line. So some people with some limited knowledge, quite a few people are fairly familiar, which is really interesting as well. So good that you've got a base level of information. Hopefully we can top that up and give you a bit more information. And of course, particularly around Jaguar Land Rover's graduate program. So we definitely aim to do that today. So thank you for your answers with that one. The final poll, which will go live in a moment, is going to be around how confident do you feel about applying for graduate programs? So just bear with me a second. It does take about a 15-20 second delay for me to get back to the polls. And I will make that one live as well. Okay, so hopefully you can start to see that one in a second. So how confident do you feel as of right now about applying for a graduate program? Do you feel not all confident? You're going to really need some knowledge about what's out there, what the application processes look like, what hints and tips can we offer? Maybe you're quite unconfident, know a little bit, but certainly want to know a lot more before making those applications. Or maybe you are confident and you're using this, I guess, as a reassurance of what we offer and what our processes are before you apply. Maybe you've already applied. So, yeah, quite a mixed bag on this question. A few people not at all confident, some on the unconfident as well, quite a high percentage. So I do hope that by the end of this, and we'll do this poll again near the end of the session, hopefully you come out of that somewhat more confident in what a graduate program is, what type of graduate programs are on offer at a company like Jaguar Land Rover, how you would be assessed, how you would apply and all of that stuff, and hopefully pick up a few tips along the way. So that's great. So if I go back to the slides today. So to give you, I guess, a bit of an introduction into who are we, who is Jaguar Land Rover. So as you can see, we are one company. So we are, it is a joint company, but we have two iconic brands, one of those being Jaguar. And there's loads going on in the space of Jaguar in terms of transforming the fleet of vehicles into an all-electric luxury brand from 2025. So we actually have a really, really exciting pathway at the moment for specifically to be part of that journey in Jaguar, which is great. There is also, of course, Land Rover. Lots of people are probably even more familiar with those vehicles, see them on the road all the time, maybe even dream of owning one. So that is, we also offer vehicles there. And again, they're looking towards electrification, automation. All these things are really important and all part of our strategic future, which comes under something called Reimagine. So essentially, the company is looking to move to a world of modern luxury and being, software first, electrical first. So there's lots of areas that we're recruiting across and lots of skills that we're going to need to get us there on that journey. And that is what's great about having a graduate program. Graduates are seen as the kind of, really important to the business and are seen as the future leaders. So the purpose of having graduate programs is that we can develop people, give people a rounded experience in lots of different areas, and then, ultimately build up professionals that are then able to support the business and support with all of the various roles we need and requirements to transform us on that journey. And that is really recognised by managers, senior leaders, and people across the business. So you get time for your development. But we've had loads and loads of people that have done the graduate scheme, whether it be a couple of years ago or quite a while ago, that have then gone on to have a really, really successful career with us. So it is a fantastic programme. I should have introduced myself at the start, which I didn't. So I'm Sam from the Early Careers Recruitment team, and I look after all of our university engagement, so around the undergraduate and graduate programmes. And the reason I'm so passionate for that is I actually have been there. So I've been in your shoes. I was at university, obviously a few years ago, and I did an undergraduate program here. Wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. Didn't know if I was into business, if I was into HR. I had no idea, but I took a punt on the graduate program, and it definitely helped my career and then helped me go back into my final year studies. Then I came back here as a graduate. I got the offer as part of doing the undergraduate placement, so I didn't have to apply again and I didn't have to go through any sort of process, anything like that. I got the job, which was really fab. The final year saved me a lot of time applying for other things. But yeah, I did the graduate scheme as well, so definitely been there, done that, literally got the t-shirt. And now, I've finished that graduate program a couple of years back, but I'm so passionate about it because I've been there and it's given me the career that I'm in right now. And hopefully we can inspire some of you today to start your journeys with us, and that you can also have a future career here as well. So heart of the future is our people. I've just talked about the importance of the graduate program, but people in general are absolutely critical to the success of Jaguar Land Rover. Without those people, we can't make the products that we have. We can't engineer the parts on those products. We can't manufacture them, and we can't look after those people. So they're extremely important. And I guess talking about people and leading on from that, diversity and inclusion is also extremely important in our business, and something that I feel with our business, but also I think across the industry and across all businesses really, is becoming more and more prominent in the world, which I think is fantastic. So we're super passionate about our people, and we are committed to having a positive and inclusive workforce and culture that really represents the customers and society in which we live. And our aim, is for if you apply to Jaguar Land Rover and you get an offer and you manage to join us, that you can bring your authentic self to work and really do feel that empowerment to actually be able to reach your full potential in this program. I don't think any company is perfect, but I certainly think that we're on the way. We're on an upwards journey and we're doing some really great things in this space. And I hope that you can feel that if you do go through our application process and join the company. And just to touch on D&I networks before I move on to programs, we have quite a lot of them, as you can see on screen. So there's a number of different networks. You can get involved in any or all of them if you want to. You don't have to fall into the category or characteristic of a particular network to get involved as an ally as well. So, I'm involved in lots of different networks on here, such as Reach, Pride, Women in Engineering, Shine. Really keen to be a voice and support those networks, and you can get involved in them as well from day one and do some great work with them. So it's really great that we have them. Gives people a voice, allows you to meet like-minded people like you, share experiences, share knowledge. They're really, really fantastic for sure. So I know that most people are here for graduate programs, so I'm not going to touch too much on undergraduate, But just to give you a little bit of an overview in terms of the programme, especially for those that are in first year, an undergraduate programme typically happens in your penultimate year. It's a 12-month placement with us, so you'll have a year out essentially with us and then go back to university. And there's a lot of different areas that we're hiring undergraduates across, as you can see on the screen. I think some people have a misconception around undergraduates in terms of they won't be given responsibility. They'll just be observing. They won't get hands-on, but that is definitely not the case, or at least it's not here anyway. So our undergraduates get absolutely stuck in, get loads of responsibilities, and you'll really come out with, you know, a great company on your CV, but actually experiences and responsibilities that you can talk about, projects that you've led and delivered and things like that, that are really going to be great for your future career. So for any first years on the call and they're thinking, do I want to do a placement? Do I want to just go to final year? Personally, and I've been through the route, I would definitely recommend doing an undergraduate placement, whether that be here or whether that be somewhere else. I would truthfully recommend that you do one. It just really, really helps your future career, helps you apply the learning you've done in university, and it just puts you that step above other people that might have the academic side, but they don't have that real world experience. So they are really, really fantastic. So graduate programs, for anybody that was kind of saying they're maybe unconfident in terms of what is a graduate program, I don't know much about them. Graduate programs are typically for university students once they finish their studies. So typically those students will apply in the kind of final year of their degree, or perhaps when they're finishing their master's or postgraduate course. But you don't have to be a student at university to apply for a graduate program. You could have graduated, you know, you could be graduating next year to join us next year, or you could have graduated back in the year 2000. It doesn't matter. As long as you've been to university and you've got a degree, and that degree is relevant to the kind of hiring area that you're looking for and what those entry criteria are, you can absolutely apply for our programs. Graduate programs can vary in length across lots of different employers. Our programs are 2 years long. We believe that that gives you the perfect time to be able to do placements and see different things on the program, and also, you know, build up your experience, complete some of the learning curriculum as well, so that you can come out as a full-rounded professional with the skills and knowledge you need to then succeed in whatever role that you might want to go into in the future. They're a great way from learning from industry expert. As I said, they kind of get that focus. So at Jaguar Land Rover, for example, I know that we are trying to advocate more and more that 20% of the graduate program is spent on the whole learning piece, curriculum, and doing things like that, and then 80% in the role. And in that role, you know, you could be working in so many different teams. You could be working with another graduate that maybe is a year ahead of you, and, you know, you're just joining and they joined the previous year. You might be working with someone that graduated recently, a couple of years ago, and now they've got a few more years in the business. Or you could be working with a manager that's been in the role for 20 plus years. You know, there's so many levels of experience and so many different people that you'll interact with and work with, especially as we work in quite an agile way. So things are becoming more cross-functional. We work with different teams and product owners and people like that. So it's a really exciting time, I guess, to join and get into an industry like this in terms of where that's going to. And you'll definitely be able to get a lot of real world experience to apply your degree to, and the personal and professional skills that you're looking for to support that future career. So I guess to go through a few benefits, I've probably talked through a couple already there, but the main ones I would pick out is about engaging in a learning program that is delivered by an industry recognised provider. So that learning program and a graduate scheme is going to give you loads of core skills around things like leadership, communication, business acumen, and stuff like that, that are the soft skills part, I guess, of the job. And that's really important no matter what you do, whether you're in HR, whether you're in finance, whether you're a software engineer. You need soft skills to be able to work in a business and work with people. So you'll get that. And then, of course, you know, you'll have a level of technical knowledge that you'll apply, and you'll get the rest of it working with your peers and working on the projects that you do. And if you need any software, you need any training and stuff, then, of course, you'll get that as well as part of the scheme. We've talked about learning from industry-leading experts and focusing on your personal and professional development as well. And another one of the great things, I think, is about joining the community of graduates and early careers hires. So we have something called the EC, or Early Careers Community. It's led by people on early careers, so it's nothing that is, forced upon anybody or led by our team in particular. It is led by actual people that want to do all sorts of things. They've kind of got two main branches. One of them is they do projects and improvement kind of things across the business, and particularly around early careers, to make the experience as good as it can be for future joiners. And number two is the social element. So they do lots of different stuff, from rock climbing, football and netballs, and things like coffee roulettes and summer balls and Christmas parties and all sorts of stuff. Definitely loads to enjoy, and you don't have to do things, but from some of the photos I've seen and some of the things I've been part of, I think they definitely have a really good time. So that's really great to join an actual community. And I guess that's where the adjustment from university to the corporate world and working in a business is actually quite easy when you actually have that, because uni, you're probably used to living with a bunch of people. You're used to having that social side on the side, and you can still get that here as well. So you've got like-minded people that are willing to organise lots of different events and have fun. So that's great. In terms of our graduate programmes, you can see the list of them available on the screen. The ones in red are the ones that have now closed. So I'm going to talk to you about our application process in a bit. And the biggest tip we always give people, and we have been for the last few weeks at all of the careers fairs across universities that we've been at, the biggest tip is apply as early as possible. So it's not too late for some of the programs on here, but literally some of them are already closed a month in because we received so many applications. They're particularly in the sort of corporate space, as you can see, from business strategy, finance, HR, stuff like that. So, we are popular. We do have a number of graduates joining us, so it's not just one role in each of these areas. This is actually our highest hiring demand that it's ever been, and there's loads of roles on offer, so there's still plenty out there. But in terms of this year, if you want to apply right now, because they are open, and you want to join us next September as a graduate, then you can see the programs on screen, and you can make an application for any of those. Now, the big thing to say when I say that, though, you can only apply for one specific pathway. So it's definitely worth, if you scan that QR code, it should take you to the page on the website. Have a read of the role profiles related to some of those different areas if you think that maybe you span a couple of them. So, for example, if you were doing mechanical engineering, you could look at hardware and mechatronics, you could look at propulsion, or you could look at manufacturing. So there's a few different areas that you'd probably be relevant for, but you can only apply to one. So really read those role profiles and see where you think your skills best fit and align, and what you want to do in your career. I think that's really, really important. But yeah, this is the programme. You can see some information on that. Entry criteria wise, all you need to do is have a degree that is within the entry criteria. Some of them are specific, some of them are really open in terms of what they ask for, but make sure that your degree fits that. And you need to be on track for a 2.2 or above, which I am sure that most or all of you on the call have either achieved or are on track for. So I'm going to play a video now that we shot a couple of months back with some of our current graduates. A few of them have actually now finished the scheme, September just gone. But I'm going to play this video now. They talk a little bit about their experience, and then I'll give you a chance to actually hear live from some of our current graduates about their experiences too.
Why did you choose to do a graduate scheme at Jaguar Land Rover?
I studied chemical engineering at University of Birmingham. When it comes to Jaguar Land Rover, I didn't actually know that I wanted to apply for it because it didn't really have any strong connections to my degree. Then in the interview, I actually asked the interviewer, what can a chemical engineer do in an automotive company? And they came back and said, you can work in batteries, you can work in fuel cells, and it really opened up my eyes to, oh, I have a place here, when before I wasn't quite sure. So, yeah. What did you do?
I did aerospace engineering.
Wow.
And I've got a huge passion towards cars and luxury. And obviously, knowing that Jaguar Land Rover is a company which builds luxury vehicles, I feel like it's the perfect place for me to work at. In terms of training and development, what have you undertaken in your program?
I've had loads of training and development, which has been a great part of the graduate scheme. So obviously everything that all graduates do is our core curriculum through Ashbourne Hill. All the skills that we would get, we're expected to use within the business. So, personal development, self-awareness, problem solving, etc. So it's all really good to be able to have that exposure, because it's the stuff that you sometimes just expect you'll pick up in the workplace, but to actually learn about it and some of the theories behind it, it's really engaging.
So what do you guys think about the culture of the company?
There's so many networks and communities that you can join. Like, I feel like I'm a part of a big community where we're all included and we're all accepted, and we can be at work and be happy. And what do you think?
The way I see myself working with everyone is very well connected.
Every what you might call difference actually brings everyone together, and it's like it might sound a bit cringy, but I find the culture here at Jaguar Land Rover beautiful in a way. And I know that's quite an emotive word, but I come into work feeling comfortable, and it doesn't matter your background, age, race, religion, sexual orientation, anything like that. We all just work together, and it's, for me, it's everything I could have dreamed of for a workplace, because I feel safe here, I feel valued. It's just a wonderful culture, I think, for everyone.
I also think it's really good for graduates. Like, I think it's a really good graduate scheme because we all do lots of activities together, training together, all the extracurricular together, and most of us live close by and we meet up outside of work. So I've actually made loads of friends through the grad scheme.
And it is good for networking later on, isn't it? Because so many different departments, and you make friends, and they'll always be able to give you a helping hand if you need it for whatever reason in the future with work. So it's a lovely little community, really, isn't it?
So I hope you enjoyed that, and I guess some of that reinforces some of the things I've talked about. But really great to hear from some of our graduates there, just in terms of their experiences on the programme. And as I said, some of them have now finished that and have moved into a substantive role doing what they enjoyed most on the graduate scheme, which I think is really great. So I said that we will get the chance to chat with some of our current graduates. I'm going to hand it over to them one by one to let them talk a little bit about their journey, their experiences on programme, and maybe they've got some hints and tips for you if you want to apply as well. You can use the chat function if you want to ask them any particular questions. There will be a Q&A at the end as well, probably in about 20 minutes from now. So feel free to put your questions in the chat or save them for them. But yeah, Benjamin, over to you.
Thank you, Sam. Hello, I'm Ben. I currently work in the, as you see on the screen, hardware and mechatronics pathway, but there are a lot of different roles in that area. So I work in the vehicle personalization electrical at the moment, which is basically accessories. How can we integrate them on the cars? What customers might want in the future, etc., etc. So how am I here? I did my bachelor's at Uni of Liverpool, then I did my master's at the Uni of Southampton, and while I was doing my master's, as I see, I think it was roughly 50% of it I was doing your master's at the moment. I was applying for roles, and I was lucky to go for the interview at Jaguar, and honestly, it was one of the best assessment centers I've been to. I'd say very open, very real, not very corporate tree, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I had an assessment center. I was fortunate enough to be offered a role, and here I am now in the SVO. So what do I do day by day? I've been on the role for I think 5 or 6 weeks now. So the first few weeks, as you can imagine, it's mostly training. How all the systems work in the company, and all that kind of stuff, acronyms. But now, I got a chance to actually talk with the suppliers, present some ideas, help other colleagues. For example, I was being put in charge of learning particular technology, and then spreading that knowledge to other people in my team. So I'd say it was quite rewarding so far and quite interesting. And Sam also stressed the network of the graduates. I'd say it's quite nice as well. For example, this Tuesday we're going for go-karting. 20, 30 people roughly will be, on one track, racing their little go-karts. Not quite the Range Rovers, but it's, I think, still a lot of fun. And maybe any tips for you? So I'd say when you go for the assessment center, don't be afraid to be honest. When I had my interview with the assessor, I sort of didn't really have much of like, oh, I have to pretend this, I have to pretend that. I was really trying to stress, I love cars. I know I don't know everything in the world, but like, I'm interested in your company. So yeah, let's make it work. I can say that in a nutshell. And then also don't feel like you need to know everything now. Obviously you learn. I joined 6 weeks ago and I'm obviously still learning a lot. In 2 years' time, I guess I'll be still learning more and more every day. So don't let it sort of put you off applying if you feel like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough or something. Or even if you say you want to join software or you want to join hardware and mechatronics, and you were mostly doing, for example, I don't know, mechanical engineering, or you were doing electrical engineering, and you feel like, I didn't really quite do the modules I need. This doesn't really matter that much. If you've done those modules, you are capable of using your problem-solving skills, and this is the most important quality. So I think the best example of this is that my current manager, ages ago, did his bachelor's in mechanical engineering, but he's electrical manager, so really doesn't matter that much. That's it from me. Thank you, Sam.
Perfect, thank you. Really great to hear about your experience and some insight as well into the assessment centres too. And I think that's really important what you kind of touched on, imposter syndrome there, I guess, in terms of some people might not feel confident enough to apply almost or be able to truly express themselves. But I definitely think that you can and you should. And we will touch upon that actually later when we talk about the application process in about 10 minutes or so. But yeah, thank you for sharing. And I will now hand over to Siddharth. So over to you. I think you're on mute. Sorry.
So basically, how did I come here? I was an international student who did my master's from the University of Nottingham, Industrial Engineering and Operations Management, a core mechanical domain. So, what team I work in? So, I'm gonna share you with a poll, and let's first I show which team I work for. I hope you could see this. I'm not sure if it's mirrored or not. So yes, so shall we find out how many of you know this one? It's a business within a business, to be honest. Yep, the poll is published now, so you could see how many of these know. So how many of them know what is this logo, so I could talk about it more. Oh, you're more.
I think the poll might have ended prematurely somehow.
Okay, so no problem. My bad. So I work in the special vehicles team, which is a Halo division of Jaguar Land Rover. More exciting, as in the company, everything is exciting, but much more exciting stuff happen inside SV, because you get to work in cars that are more than 200,000 pounds, which is like a massive massive work you will be putting into and of course learning and stuff. As Sam was speaking about the diversity and inclusion in the company, I would agree with that, because it's been just 2 weeks and I've already received a warm welcome from my team, and it's with managers and other colleagues. They really support you as the business or the company doesn't only thinks of developing its business but also developing its employees, and the professional develop inside the company is massive. I've seen people in having their professional certifications like chartered engineers and the other categories of chartership. So yes, you when you apply with Jaguar, you have your professional development along with your growth interpersonal skills. As we have core skills program in our graduate scheme for the first 2 years, where you get to learn how the company works and how can you develop yourself to make sure that you're in turn developing yourself. So yes, and apart from the main things, yes, and I was already excited when I applied last year, because I've always wanted to work in an automobile company, and yeah, it's been an exciting journey. Yeah, in 4 years we'll be still learning. In 10 years we are still learning. So don't feel free to be knowing that you even if you don't know specifically about anything, you're much more you're welcome to learn. That's what the company does. Yep, that's my time, I guess. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, really appreciate it.
Wonderful. I'm sorry, I found like 60% of the people are aware of SV. Thank you.
Nice, yeah. You might maybe see them the little badges on the back of some of the cars that show you that it's a special vehicle. All the celebs and all the very fancy people will definitely have one as well, and they'll have many other cool customizations. Yeah, SV is definitely a nice place to work in, that's for sure. But no, thank you for sharing your story and your experience in terms of how you got here so far. And you're definitely right; it is lifelong learning. So the grad scheme might be 2 years, but it doesn't mean that the learning stops when you're finished. I think that's a really important message. Right, I'll hand over to our final graduate of the day, which is Joshua.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, so I probably have a less than standard journey of ending up at JLR. So I studied an undergraduate and a master's at Swansea University. I did an undergraduate in ancient history and politics. And then I did a master's in international security and development. And I'm now essentially, a computer programmer working with, data science, data engineering, and data analytics as part of the analytics grad scheme. It was also sort of weird for me as well. So when I finished uni, I probably quite like a lot of people here that have just finished or finishing at the end of the year, I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do with my life. Not even what I wanted for breakfast, let alone what I wanted as a career. So I went on Indeed. I applied for over 140 jobs. The analytics grad scheme happened to be one that I felt like matched my skills, and I knew a few people also from my local area who had gone on the scheme and had good experiences. For me, in terms of the application process, it was the only one for me that seemed to try and make things as easy as possible for you. So a lot of other grad schemes try and put up barriers, and if you jump over those barriers, they're like, yeah, you're good enough, whereas the whole process from start to finish for Jaguar Land Rover was more trying to help you as much as physically possible in order to allow you to succeed as much as you can. And yeah, so as part of the analytics scheme, I'm a cross-functional analytics grad. So I'm based in the people analytics team. So working a lot on recruitment and attrition and projects regarding, how we recruit more people and stuff like that. So for the last 7 weeks, we've been in sort of like an intensive training program. So in regards to the amount of support we get, we've had stakeholders that are manager level to more senior level come in, teach us things like SQL and Tableau, Python, things that I had not really any idea that existed before. So for me, it doesn't necessarily require any particular level of interest in a specific area, any particular skills. It's a lot more about your mindset. So in my interview, I think probably spent about 5% at the time talking about my degree and what I did at uni. A lot of what the questions they were asking was name an experience or name a time in which you've done this or showed this. So I spent a lot of time talking about the society work I did at university. So like founding an esports society at my uni and managing teams and talking to the students union and recruiting members and organizing people. And also a lot of, personal experiences I had working in retail. So I had probably 6 or 7 different retail hospitality jobs whilst I was at uni. And a lot of those experiences, whilst not obviously directly relevant to a role as, an engineer or as a role as an analytics grad, it's just more about how you deal with situations, how you deal with people, how you approach things, more just your mindset. So I'd say for anyone worrying that, their degree, may not be relevant, or anyone wondering if their qualifications aren't quite good enough, I was someone I ended up graduating with a 2-2. But I did politics, and now I'm a data analyst. So it's a lot just about your mindset. It's about how you approach things, how you view things, and the atmosphere here is great. So for example, like within the first week before we'd started, I posted a message in a JLR grad group chat that popped up, and then 50 people ended up turning up to the pub within a couple of hours. And the number of grads that I've gotten to meet that you see every Friday night after the Happy Friday sort of earlier finishes has been great. The amount of social events you get in terms of the networks, in terms of I played badminton every week with some of the grads. There's football every week is really, really good, and the amount of support that you get is lovely. So yeah, that's it from me.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, really comprehensive, and as you've talked about, and I think someone's asked the question, so we'll cover that definitely in a minute in your Q&A. It's really interesting to see, obviously, the degree that you did, but then actually the career that you've chosen is a little bit different to that. So it'd be cool to explore why in the Q&A section in about 5 minutes' time. You also talked about the application process being as easy as possible for candidates. So that is very, very nice lead on to what is the application process. So thank you for doing that. So our application process starts with an online application. You'll be pleased to know no CVs, no cover letters needed, none of that stuff, because do recruiters read them? Maybe not. So we took them out this year because they weren't being looked at and it wasn't what you were being assessed against. So we don't want to waste your time. We aren't silly. We know that you are going to apply to more people than just us. So I don't want to waste your time making you do a tailored CV and a cover letter just for us if it doesn't get read. So we've taken it out this year. The online application, the main thing it's going to ask you is what's your motivation in terms of why are you applying for this role? Why do you want to join Jaguar Land Rover? And it's really, really important there that you bring out your skills and experience relative to that company, so that role, and why you want to go down that pathway, essentially. I'll talk about that more in a second because that might prompt some questions. But when you've done the online application, you then move to online testing. That's fairly standard psychometric testing. You probably have seen it before and you'll probably see it again. But it's the situational judgment, it's cognitive type tests and a personality matching tool. We'll give you a preparation guide when you get to that stage. So it will contain information about what the tests are and it will give you some practice, the ability to do some practice tests as well. But I definitely recommend practice, practice, practice. Don't just do one once and go, oh, that was super easy. I'm going to go straight into the real one now. Do some practice. You can Google them and stuff as well, and just get yourself in the zone. When you do them, make sure you've got good Wi-Fi, quiet area, and then crack on, and I'm sure you'll be fine. Then you get to the assessment centre. That's going to be virtual this year. There'll be 3 stages. One is a motivational interview, which is basically leading on from that application. Why the role, why the company, why the industry, what difference can you make if you were in that role? And there'll be a behavioural interview, as a couple of my colleagues have touched on, the whole, tell me about a time where you did this, or tell me about a time where you experienced that. So it'll be that type of stuff. And also then there will likely be a presentation around a topic relevant to what you've asked for. Shouldn't be super technical, more of a kind of generalistic piece, but that will be part of the virtual assessment centre as well. And then when you've been through those 3 stages, that's where you get your offer, which is great. So we'll make a verbal offer and we'll confirm it in writing afterwards. And then in terms of staying connected, there might be quite a bit of time before you get that offer and you actually join us next September. People will start getting offers essentially from November onwards on the graduate programs, for example. So the earlier they apply, the earlier you're going to get in as well. There's one little tip for you. But yeah, between the offer and day one, we'll make sure you stay connected. So we'll be running post-offer engagement events and insights as well. So you can meet your team, learn a bit more about your area and get connected to the business as much as possible so that adjustment, I guess, into the corporate world and way of working is as smooth as possible. So when I was talking about skills and experience, maybe that sparked a few questions in your mind of, I don't have any experience. Does that mean I can't apply? No, it doesn't. So we recognise that a lot of students don't have industry experience. You know, if you're a software engineer or you're doing computer science or something like that at university, it's not typically a job that you get on a Saturday, is it? So we aren't looking necessarily for people with tons of experience. Of course, if you have some, that's great and wouldn't discourage you from getting some as well. If you maybe did a placement before, maybe you're a postgraduate with a couple of years experience beforehand, whatever it might be, it all helps, but it's not essential. So we're more asking you to demonstrate skills and experience relative to the role you're applying for. And what we mean is, you know, you might do stuff at university, so you've probably got some technical skills and capability there. Maybe you did some group work or maybe you did an individual project. And what kind of skills did that develop and what was the result of that? You know, you could maybe volunteer, you could work at a homeless shelter or for a charity shop or something in the volunteering world. Maybe you captain a football team or a basketball team or some other sport, and that might give you leadership skills and teamwork and various other things. Or you could have a Saturday job, or, you know, anything that you do in life outside of that university study, it is all relevant and it all brings out skills and experience that you can use in your application. So never feel that when you're going for an undergraduate or graduate role, if you don't do loads of things or you haven't got experience in the industry, that you can't apply. It is absolutely not the case. Whatever skills and experience you have, they are all relevant to the job that you're going for. And you can talk about them as much as possible in that motivation statement and in your interviews as well. I'm going to play a short video now that's from one of our apprentices who's going to talk you through a couple of application hints and tips. I'll then give you a couple of extra ones and then we will move on to the Q&A. So you have the chance to ask all of your questions there.
My application hints and tips are to make sure you really sell yourself and be passionate about what you're talking about. For example, one of my passions is sustainability. Also think about what value you could add to Jaguar Land Rover, as well as talking about your work experience and qualifications. Finally, make sure to recheck through your application and that all the required fields are completed.
Perfect. So there's a couple of hints and tips in terms of applications. Now, if you just go back to the slides, I can give you a couple of final tips as well. One of those is going to be to really make sure that you reread your application, ensure there's no errors. I talked about that motivation statement, and that's really important. So if you just write things like, I really love cars, so I want to join Jaguar Land Rover, or, you know, I'm really interested in finance and Jaguar Land Rover offers a scheme in that, so I think it would be a great fit. You know, it's an okay answer. Is it going to get you the job? Is it going to get you through? Probably not. If you can do things like, you know, I'm a mechanical engineer and I'm studying mechanical engineering at university, and it gives me these skills and this capability. Having read the role profile online, I can see the types of area I'll be working in is this, this, and this. And I really believe that I've got the capability to make a difference in that area through this module or through this project that I did or whatever it is. Also on the side, you know, I do this or I volunteer here. I've got this skills and experience that overall I believe would make me a rounded professional and able to apply for this role at Jaguar Land Rover and make a difference in the company. Something like that is just giving I guess the recruiter a bit more, and it's showing that, you know, you're being proactive and you actually want the role as opposed to a really, really blanket answer. So reread your applications and complete all the fields and put some detail in as well. Research is really useful. So if you can bring in facts about the industry and stuff about Jaguar Land Rover, like the Reimagine strategy and stuff like that, it's all going to help. And finally, apply as soon as possible. So I showed you the graduate programs earlier, and you saw some were in red already because they've already closed. They're that busy. So apply as soon as possible. The deadline might say the 14th of December, but trust me, most, if not all, of the roles will definitely close before then. So yeah, if you've got time tonight and you really, really want to make an application, genuinely, I would do it. If not, I would certainly do it over this weekend, because you will find stuff closes on Monday and you might be really upset about it. So apply as soon as possible. Make sure you only apply for one program as well. I know I said that earlier, but if you apply to multiple, you will just get rejected for all of the additional ones. And it might be the one that you actually wanted that you get rejected for. So one application, do it as soon as possible. Take some time and some care over it. You don't have to do a CV and all of that stuff. So hopefully it's quite a smooth process for you. I won't spend too much time on this. It's all available on the website, but loads of benefits to work in here. Things like holiday entitlement, great family-friendly policies, employee offers, vehicle discounts, lots of different things available to you. And where you could be based, most of our roles are in Whitley and Gaydon, which is kind of Coventry, Warwick sort of area. There are also some roles, particularly in the manufacturing area, across the West Midlands and a few other locations. And there are a couple of roles up north as well in Halewood, which is Liverpool, and Manchester. The Manchester ones specifically are software engineering. The Halewood ones are specifically in the manufacturing route within industrial operations. But pretty much every other role very much likely to be in Whitley or Gaydon. And you can follow our social media channels as well to find out more information about us, our programs, and get some insight from lots of different people that work here as well, and hopefully some hints and tips along the way. They're all on screen. You can follow whichever ones you want and stay connected to us. And yeah, that leads me on to a Q&A to give you the chance to ask as many questions as you've got. I'm happy to start that off. I've seen some really good questions coming through, and a couple of those questions were pointed to specific people. Siddharth, I'll start with you. Someone was asking, kind of, what's your day-to-day like in your role? What sort of activities do you get involved in?
Thanks, Sam. So, as a part of manufacturing, engineering, and operations graduate, so manufacturing is a big umbrella. Underneath the manufacturing, we have MPL, manufacturing, purchasing, and logistics, paint operations, launch team, process engineering. So I'm with the SV launch. Our team take care of any vehicles that is pre-production. So since it's a manufacturing role, we start by 7 in the morning, because the regular shift starts at 6. Is the morning day shift. So we should be in the office to support the shop floor. And as an SV launch graduate, in a day-to-day life, our team is, in simple words, we act as a cornerstone. So we collect all the information from different teams like engineering, supply chain, shop floor, logistics, design, and we extract data and make sure that the build is progressing without any problems in between. We sort the problems out, like engage with the suppliers, asking the parts haven't come yet, when you would be delivering them, so that we can finish the build at the specific point of time. So it's more of like a project management side, but that is inside the manufacturing umbrella. So that is my day-to-day tasks I deal with. I hope that answers the question of how my day-to-day life looks like in JLR.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll ask one more question and I'll hand it over to the team so they can pick out some questions too. Joshua, what people are asking about, what made you decide to choose a career that wasn't exactly related to your degree?
Yeah, so for me, with what I chose to study at university, I chose to study what I found interesting. But in terms of my career, I knew that with what I studied as my degree, it left me, quite open. So I never wanted to shoehorn myself into having to take a particular career path or look for particular jobs. So what I was looking for when I was applying for jobs wasn't necessarily the type of role, because I applied for operations roles, analytics roles, business roles, finance roles, literally anything I could apply for. It was more just the type of company, the work environment, the progression opportunities, and from my application experience as well, it was one of the nicest application experiences I've had as well. So for me, it was important to not only join a company that provide lots of learning opportunities, of which I've had loads already. It's also one that tries to do things in the right way and supports their staff and their graduates, which is, one of the reasons why I decided to apply and then get the job.
Amazing. So yeah, happy to answer any further questions that are coming in now. And while you ask them as well, I will just start a couple of the final polls, just 'cause I'm conscious we've only got a few minutes left.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And it's been so insightful as always. I've been to a previous one of these and I always learn so much. Even now I'm still learning about Jaguar Land Rover and all of the opportunities. So I hope you guys all really enjoyed it as well. And there have been links in the chat, so make sure you've grabbed those before the session ends. We do have time for a couple last questions. So I'm just going down. There was one from Holly that I think was about what have you enjoyed most about working at Jaguar Land Rover? And I think there was a similar one that was like, what has surprised you about working at Jaguar Land Rover the most?
Okay. What surprised me was, particularly when I was an undergraduate, when I first started out, was the level of responsibility. I didn't know loads about undergraduate programs, and I didn't expect to be kind of thrust into working life, leading some of the projects I did do, and working with some of the people I did. I was kind of involved in HR project management and was working essentially with kind of the HR directors on what projects that we're working on and what governance they go through to get from conception all the way to delivery into the business. Didn't expect to be speaking with senior leaders every week and hosting meetings for directors. So I guess that, the level of responsibility would be my biggest surprise. And I guess that's also what I enjoy as well, having the autonomy to be able to make decisions, be able to lead on projects, be able to implement things I think are right, use data to drive those decisions. I think that's what I really enjoy.
Does anyone else want to jump on? Any of the grads want to come on and say what you've enjoyed or what has surprised you about the process so far?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can start. I mean, what surprised me the most is genuinely how much access that you do get to sort of senior people within the leadership. So as part of the people analytics team, within our first week, we had a talk from the HR director of the entire company, which was pretty cool, having a member of the board come in and sort of talk about his plans for the company and some of its past and, ask direct questions, which was great. And then during the training process so far, we've had people from, quite senior management level all the way down to sort of even like lower management level just come in and be lovely. And it's not sort of intimidating, sort of like you might expect. Everyone's been quite nice and open, even if they're high up enough to be driving a special vehicle or like a prototype vehicle. And, they're sort of, very, very sort of big up in the company, that they've usually been very open to chat, which has been, really nice to be a part of.
Oh, I think you might be.
Yeah, muted again.
I can't. The muting system is like a bit tricky. So yes, so I would agree with Josh. Like being the accessibility to the senior management. I could remember the first third day of my joining. I had an induction with our SV's managing director. Is like an LL3. He's on the third step from the CEO. So yeah, the people, the senior management, the engagement with you is like, they are friendly. They want you to learn. They want you to learn because you will be the future of the company. And And also that is the good thing, because I've already met my senior manager, the one who is above my manager. So the accessibility to the, if you have any problems, you're more than welcome to talk with your management people, like your manager, senior manager, their manager. They want you to talk with them. That's what it makes JLR a good place, to be honest.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. So we do unfortunately have to finish in a minute or two. There are a few other technical questions in here. Sam, where is best for them if they have like real technical or specific questions?
So we have an email address, graduate@jaguarlandrover.com. You can email anything into them and the team will respond, and any technical questions can be answered there. We also have a live chat. It's every Friday at 1 till 3 p.m. at the moment. It might be moving to 1 till 2, FYI. But we have a live chat where you can come and speak to like me, Rob, who's been managing the chat today, and other people in the team as well to ask any questions. So you can do that next Friday, and maybe you'll see us at your university too. We are on tour, so you might see us soon there as well. You can ask away.
Thank you. And yes, make sure you have all the links that are in the chat before you go. And I wonder, Sam, whether you want to leave them with some, there are lots of people asking about application tips and how to really stand out from the crowd. So I wonder if you could leave them with some final tips to make their applications really stand out.
Okay. I hopefully can. And seen the poll results as well about considering Jaguar Land Rover for when thinking about applications to grad programs, and it's very, very good. So thank you for that. So it's 76% extremely likely, and the rest likely. Nobody in any other category. So that wasn't expected. No, that's really good. So yeah, tips making you stand out. The motivation piece is really key in that application phase. I kind of talked through some of that in the sense of really selling the skills and experience you have and relating it to the role profile. So I would read that role profile multiple times and make sure you fully understand what you're applying for. I would think about all your skills and your experiences in terms of, what have you achieved? What things have you done in the last few years? And you can start to use STAR, which some of you probably know from school or college maybe, but the whole situation, task, action, result, you can use that stuff frame in your answers and literally jot them down on a notepad or in a Word doc or something and start relaying your experiences. And then you can keyword them if you want to against certain kind of questions. So then when you get to your interview and assessment centre and you hear a question, tell me about a time when you faced a difficult customer, or tell me about a time when you solved a complex problem or something like that. If you keyword those kind of experiences that you've had by problem solving or communication or leadership or this and that, the question comes up and immediately hits in your head. Oh, I've got an example for that I wrote down, and you can use that STAR format to then deliver your answer on that example. If you want bonus points as well, you can add another R to that for reflection. So, you go through your example and say, if I was to reflect on this again, next time what I would do differently is this, because it might have led to this result or something like that. Because it's a question the interviewer often asks as the sort of first response if they're trying to dig a bit more into what you did. So you can wow them by answering it before they even get a chance to ask. And make sure you say I as well. So what you did, i.e., if you were in a group project and 4 of you achieved this brilliant thing, that's amazing. But how do I know that the others in the group didn't do all of the work and you did none of it? So use I when you're answering all of the questions, and that will also stand you in best stead and help you stand out.
Wow, that was so helpful. Right at the end, you got all those extra tips if you stayed after 6 p.m. extra. I didn't know about that extra R as well. It was really insightful. So thank you so much. And you already have one person who at least has just put their application in. So I'm sure you get a few more in the coming days as well. But yeah, thank you for your presentation. And guys, make sure you have all of the links. Come back to the recording if you need it, all of those top tips. And other than that, thank you again. Thank you all for coming. And yeah, see you soon.
Thank you all for joining.
Thanks a lot. Bye.